Andrea Nguyen. Let's talk about caramel sauce today. It is a super important cornerstone ingredient in the Vietnamese kitchen. And what is it, right? It is just basically nearly burnt sugar that you use as an ingredient for savory dishes. No, it is not an ice cream topping. It is used for savory dishes, like I just said, to impart this really wonderful mahogany red color. It also builds that savory umami depth in a lot of dishes that are simmered with fish sauce, and you may have encountered it in dishes that are called caw. Clay pot dishes that are simmered with catfish, or maybe pork belly with eggs, or maybe, chicken and ginger. Well, those are my favorites anyway. Super duper easy to make, and we're gonna do it today in this video. And the result of what you're going to get, you can store in a jar. This is a double batch of what you're going to prepare, and it is this very kind of thickish liquid with a gorgeous, gorgeous color. And once that you have this in your pantry, you can keep it there for months. You can store it in the fridge if you want to, but I keep mine in my pantry because I have a moderately cool environment. But the thing is that with caramel sauce in your pantry, you can put together Vietnamese dishes that are classic and iconic with a lot less hassle. So let's go and make some. You only need a couple of ingredients to make Vietnamese caramel sauce. First of all, it's sugar. And I like to use cane sugar because it consistently caramelizes much, much better than other sugars, so that you are, not gonna fail. The other magical ingredient that you need is, water. Not very hard to find, right? Sugar and water. You don't need this much sugar. I just buy it because I buy large quantities of ingredients to keep in my pantry for professional reasons and to save money. But because caramelization tends to kind of be iffy for people, and the sugar can crystallize and get really crusty and funky, add a touch of acid by way of vinegar, such as apple cider vinegar, rice vinegar, distilled white. You just need a tiny bit. Or you can even add a few drops of lemon juice or lime juice, but sometimes that citrus quality gets stuck in the caramel sauce, and you may or may not want that. So that's all you need, 2, maybe 3 ingredients total. So let's make some caramel sauce now. So when you're making caramel sauce, one of the things that you want to be careful about is what kind of pan should you be using? I like to use a stainless steel pan because the light interior allows you to see inside what's going on. A dark one is not going to be as transparent. So what we're going to do is pour our water in, and then that little bit of acid, and then the sugar. And then crank up the heat to roughly medium and start stirring. At first, things will just seem like not much is going on, but that's all right. You want to be stirring to help dissolve the sugar. And this takes a few minutes or so. The sugar does not have to be totally clear. You just want it to be, more or less close to there. And use something like a spatula like this, which has a very flat bottom, so that you can really get into the corners and bottom of the saucepan. This is a 1-quart saucepan, and I'm using that so that you can more visibly see inside. But you can use a taller one, but you want to use a smallish one. All right. And this is a much larger burner than usual, so I actually have my heat on a little bit lower than medium. So you always have to make those sorts of adjustments depending on what your stove is like at home. And so it's nearly dissolved. So at this point, I'm just gonna sort of leave it there so that it can kind of keep doing its business. So sometimes there are these little crusty bits that you see forming on the walls. That's okay. You can kind of just leave them alone, unless they really start getting crusty, and that's when you want to deal with them. Otherwise, I just leave them be. They will kind of melt off on their own. So as you can see, it is starting to turn clear. And again, you're like just letting it do its number for a few minutes, and it will start changing color, going from like a champagne to a light tea color. So I know that my pan tends to heat up a little bit hotter over here just because the burner tends to be a little bit uneven. So I'm just going to swirl, and you can see the color changing, just to kind of move the sugar around. And if at any point you get concerned about the immense amount of smoke that may turn on, go ahead and turn the exhaust on. So we're getting champagne right now. And from champagne, we're going to progress towards a light tea color. And again, you can coax it, you can control the caramelization process by simply picking up the pan. There's like nothing, overly dramatic or scary about this. You can do it. And there is some smoke coming out of there. So at this point, you definitely want to have that exhaust going. And I've got it on low, so you can still hear me. So we're going to progress from champagne to tea, and then eventually to wine. Just gonna back up here so that you can see a little bit better. And there's smoke coming up, as you can see. So you want to be very, very mindful at this point to see what's going on. It's now starting to caramelize a lot faster and deeper. And what we're going to be looking for is a kind of progression of Pinot. I can keep it down here on the burner, and yes, it's going to get very, very hot very quickly, or I can also slow it down by picking up the pan and swirling. The pan is very, very hot. I'm looking for a Pinot. So think about those wines that you like to drink. I'm going for Pinot, then I'm heading to Cabernet, and it's very, very hot at this point. One of the things that I forgot to mention earlier, to make sure that you have a pot of water nearby, or a bowl of water, or a sink half filled with water. And right now we are like really, really hot. All right, so I need to arrest this. I'm going to put it right in here. Where it is sizzling and cooling down very, very quickly in the pan. I'm going to turn off my burner at this point. And then once that the bubbling stops, I can go ahead and pour in a 1/4 cup of water. So after I poured in that water, I'm going to return the caramel sauce to the burner, crank it up to roughly medium high. And all I'm going to do now is dilute it. It's still fairly hot, and you're gonna feel that it's like really, really hard feeling at the bottom. And all you wanna do is work in some of the water that you just added, so that that becomes something loose that then you can use later on. Because the caramel is hard, it's going to crystallize into practically a hard candy if you left it the way it was. So you want to add a little bit of water at this stage so that it will stay fluid in your cupboard. Just going to turn off my exhaust so you can hear me a little bit better. And the color, as you can see at this point, is pretty damn handsome. It's like a reddish color. And that's what caramel sauce does. It imparts a beautiful mahogany red color to foods that you cook with it. And all you have to do is use like, 2, maybe 3 ingredients to put this together, ingredients that you have in your pantry to make a staple of the Vietnamese kitchen. So the caramel warmed up. I'm just stirring the water into the caramel sauce until everything is nice and well diluted and blended together. Again, just stir. The first time you do this is going to be a little bit strange, but I hope this video helps you navigate the process of nearly burning sugar. But it's for good reasons. And once you do this, you master caramel, I feel like you can do practically anything in the kitchen. There's still some caramel stuck on my hands and also on the spatula. So just going to lower the heat and keep stirring that. And you just, let it bubble for like a minute or so. I was probably a little too aggressive at the front end. You didn't want to stir it, and that's why I'm paying the price now with the caramel. But as you can see, it's also diluting and warming up and falling off the spatula. And once that it is a nice dilution like this, so back to a liquid state, you can, what I like to do is really, really just quickly cool it, so I put it back into the water just for about a minute. And after that minute of cooling in the water, you're ready to use it, or you can let it cool completely in a jar. And that, my friends, is caramel sauce. Okay, now that you know how to make this stuff, Vietnamese caramel sauce, I want you to make yourself a batch, then start cooking with it. Look for recipes in my cookbooks, Vietnamese Food Any Day, or Into the Vietnamese Kitchen. Also, mind my website, vietworldkitchen.com, for more ideas. Thanks.